Hello and welcome. You're watching the Saturday edition of This Is Exclusive with me, Shavins. And ladies and gentlemen, in a fortnight, 70 bomb threats received by multiple airline carriers in India. Dark web link has emerged. Countries like Pakistan, United States of America, Hong Kong, these are the countries through which it has been routed through. But the bigger story that we are getting to you tonight, are the airlines now becoming lackadaisical in their attitude towards these very bomb threats that were received? On Thursday, we began our relentless coverage exposing one particular airline about the manner in which they have been handling this entire bomb threat. Air India, ladies and gentlemen, on Thursday received multiple bomb threats, something that they never acknowledged. Till the time Republic TV carried on with their detailed investigation, only late at night a response really came in. Tonight on This Is Exclusive, we take you through the details of why exactly perhaps Air India was brushing this under the carpet. And why exactly have they only responded partially to the multiple questionnaire that has been sent by Republic TV? And not just that, Air India CEO has admitted that the internal committee was basically looking at some of those messages that we've been talking about. All this and much more on this edition of This Is Exclusive. But up first, let's take a look at the headlines we're tracking at this hour. No end to the mid-air bomb scare. 5 Air India, 5 Indigo, 5 Vistara, 5 SpiceJet flights and 1 Air India Express received bomb threats today. It's a big Republic newsbreak impact. DG BCAS chairs key meeting after multiple airline bomb threats. Amid back-to-back threats to airlines, the Air India CEO speaks exclusively to Republic TV. Hate preacher Zakir Naik meets US designated Lashkar-e-Toiba terrorists in Pakistan's Lahore. Two days after Hamas chief eliminated drone targeted from Lebanon, targeting Israel Prime Minister Netanyahu's residence. "70 bomb threats in just about a fortnight." Ladies and gentlemen, first let me take you through a consolidated report that we have put together to give you a sense of the number of threats that have been received by multiple airlines. Let's first take you through the details of it. 7 days, 70 plus bomb threats, starting from 14th of October, where you have 3 flights. 1 Air India flight, let's move on. 2 Indigo flights, and then 2 Air India Express flights. On October 15th, 6 flights. 1 Air India flight, let's just move on a little faster. 1 Air India flight, 1 Indigo flight, 1 SpiceJet flight, 1 Akasa flight, and 4 Air India flights. 16th of October, 10 flights, 4 Air India flights. Continuing like this, 3 Indigo flights. Let's just quickly move on. 2 Vistara flights, and 1 SpiceJet flight. This was on 16th of October. 17th of October, 15 flights, 6 Air India flights, 4 Indigo flights, 3 Vistara, 2 Akasa, and 5 Air India. The very next day, 18th, 12 flights that received. 5 Air India flights, 3 Indigo, 2 Vistara, and 2 SpiceJet flights. 19. So successive flights that have received. On the 19th of October, 24 flights, 5 Air India flights, 5 Indigo, 1 Air India Express, 3 Vistara flights, and 5 SpiceJet flights, 5 Akasa flights. Phone calls. Now, let's just stay with this. What exactly is the pattern that is essentially emerging from the number of threats that have received in the last 7 days? We have basically gone through all the threats that have been received, and this is the pattern that is emerging. The mode of threats, ladies and gentlemen, the phone calls, about 43% of the number of flights that have come in. Emails is about 15%. That's another mode of threat. Social media is just 7%. Now, many of the airlines would essentially want you to believe that they are simply hoax threats. But the fact of the matter is that if you look at it, anonymous letters have just been 6%. So the social media accounts that were created and thereafter deleted, we are given to understand, that was only about barely in single digit. But largely, these were phone calls that were received. Even if they are just simple hoax calls that have essentially been made, how exactly has the airlines really responded to it? Let's just take you through the details now essentially emerging. Now, these, ladies and gentlemen, is the kind of threats that have been receiving. This is one such social media account that has been created, and this is once again been deleted. Now, these are the threat messages that the airlines have received. This was received by Air India. 2 terrorists on board flight IX684, everyone will be killed. Let's move on to the others that have come in. Now, this is what we are talking about, ladies and gentlemen. Whether at all Air India has actually risked passenger safety. Reason being, let's stay with this. This message that you see where they say ignore it. This message allegedly was sent out by a top official of Air India. And that happens to be Mr. Klaus, who's the Chief Operations Officer. And the question that we have been asking, ladies and gentlemen, on Thursday, multiple flights of Air India actually received these bomb threats. And it turns out that no public statement was actually made by Air India. So the question that we inevitably asked was this, that was there an attempt that was actually made by Air India to brush this under the carpet? Then our investigation led us to this internal message that was doing the rounds. This internal message of the top Air India officials. And it turns out that a series of messages that were there before this was pertaining to the threats that were received by Air India. We believe that this message that was sent by one of the top Air India official was to basically ignore it. Now, was this for some sort of a commercial interest? Because the moment you basically accept the fact that they've received a bomb threat, there is a standard operating procedure that has to be followed. Whether that was followed or not. Let's take you through the other details that are now coming in. Now this, ladies and gentlemen, another message that we have now accessed. Now this is the Air India CEO, who appears to have deleted the messages from that very internal message group. Now here, ladies and gentlemen, let's just move out of this right now, where we take you through the details of what we know so far. Let's just move out of this graphic right now, where Air India CEO has basically deleted those messages. Now it turns out that these messages were pertaining to what we believe an internal message when the threats were received. And how exactly should the airline have responded to it? Was this because there was some sort of commercial interest, or was there some other reason? Now, these are questions that only the airline can actually answer. Over the last few days, we have actually put out several questionnaires have been sent out to Air India. A short while back, we spoke to the Air India CEO, who was called by the Bureau of Civil Aviation Security for a meeting in the national capital at Udan Bhavan. He's basically admitted to the fact that yes, such messages did actually exist. Take a look.
Mr. Campbell, what do you have to respond on the messages, on the bomb threat messages which Air India did hide from the regulators?
No, Air India has been reporting all threats to the regulator, and every decision is made in conjunction with the regulator.
But we have the evidence that on 15th and 16th of October, the bomb messages were not shared with the regulatory body. I myself was here at BCAS. They were unaware of the bomb messages. Your COO Klaus wrote, ignore the bomb messages.
No, I think you've taken that well out of context. There was a very clear thread of correspondence whereby every message is reported to an internal committee and then subsequently to the BTAC group, who then make a determination.
BTAC was not made. In fact, SOPs were not followed. Emergency landing was not done. In fact, isolation, the airlines were not taken into isolation. Why did you turn blind eye towards all the bomb messages?
No, we absolutely and completely refute that allegation. It is not substantiated by fact. I think you are trying to make a story where there is none.
No, we have the evidence, we have the threats, we have the trail where it clearly says ignore. Your COO Klaus says ignore it, and you are on that WhatsApp message. You didn't respond.
If you look at that chain, within about 10 minutes, I pointed out that all of these messages should be reported to an internal committee, which includes Klaus, it includes our CSO, it includes our head of flight operations, for an evaluation and then a recommendation to BCAS and DTAC, which was done in this case.
Why didn't you get the security clearance of Klaus? Why didn't you get the security clearance of Klaus? Mr. Klaus, who has taken the position in October 2023, till now his security clearance is pending.
Mr. Klaus is not the accountable manager. I am. He is also not the chief of operations.
He's chief operations officer.
No, he's not chief operating officer. He's chief of operations, which, according to DGCA, does not require a security clearance in advance of taking up the role.
He's the key managerial person, Mr. Campbell. He's a key manager person. IOCC comes under Mr. Klaus. Why didn't you get the security clearance?
I've just explained to you that it was not required by virtue of the nature of his role.
So you are saying he's not a key management person because his appointment was directly made by you. You very well said that he will directly report to me. He is flight operation, IOCC, all is being looked by him, and you are saying he's not the key managerial person?
No, he's not the accountable manager. I am the accountable manager from the purpose of the airline AOC. Thank you very much.
Not the accountable manager. Why didn't you share with the regulators that there was a bomb hoax message, there was a bomb threat message? Therefore, BCAS has pulled all of you today. Mr. Campbell, the BCAS called for this meeting because you did hide message from the authority.
That's absolutely not true. Sanjay.
Yeah, this was a Republic mega impact, Mr. Campbell. This was a Republic mega impact, our story, because of which DGCA and BCAS today called all of you. And what SOPs are you really following?
You have to ask BCAS why they called this meeting. They called all airlines to discuss the spate of threats that have been made to the Indian aviation ecosystem. And what we are going to be doing as an industry to resolve this.
What have you done till now, Mr. Campbell? Till now, what investigation internally have you done?
Was this pure whataboutery on the part of Air India CEO? He says that he is the managerial accountable for all that happens in Air India. That, in fact, Mr. CEO, we are aware of the fact that you are accountable. But the question here is that, is it not true that in some internal communications that you've had with your employees, where you have introduced Mr. Klaus as the Chief Operations Officer who would be looking into operations, and that ineffective becomes a managerial position, someone who is directly reporting to the CEO? How exactly is it possible that he does not hold a key managerial position? In fact, a story that we're going to put out in a short while from now is who exactly is this very person, and why exactly is he being protected to that very extent, so much so that security clearances are not required when the aircraft rules make it abundantly clear that a foreign national ought to undergo a security clearance. Let's also quickly bring in my colleagues who've been on the story, getting us the latest details. In fact, we'll take you through the latest details coming in, and also perhaps get another breaking news now coming in from Maharashtra with regards to the BJP releasing their first list. We'll go to that story in a short while from now. But a quick response first to you, Harsha, that a big exclusive coming in from you with regards to the role of Air India CEO. He says that I am the managerial accountable for it. So, as I understand, the CEO under whom the Mr. Klaus basically reports to, how exactly does he not hold a managerial position?
Not Shravan, they are trying to play us with the name and the nomenclature. They are trying to brush away and keep everything under the wraps. I just think that he is not an accountable person. When we very well know that the accountability and responsibility here is of Mr. Klaus, because he handles IOCC. Every bomb message is first looked by and sent to Klaus, and then Klaus decides whether it has to be given to sent out to regulators or not. But in this case, Mr. Klaus said ignore it. In fact, Shravan, we also have the mainframe thread where Mr. Campbell Wilson, who is on the WhatsApp chat group, he has deleted his message. The message which he is speaking of, the internal committee message which was formed, he has deleted that message. Clearly, he is trying to protect Klaus. He is not letting us ask any questions when we are asking about Klaus. He is trying to protect him. He doesn't want that any of the questions regarding security clearance or the accountability of Klaus, we should ask him. And that is the reason he diverted the entire question and he answered by saying that I am the accountable manager. Now we very well know that the security clearance of Mr. Klaus is needed. DGCACAR Section 3 clearly states that if a foreign national who is handling the managerial position, he needs a security clearance. And if you will see the appointment mail of Campbell in the group which has been sent to Air India, it clearly states there that all these key management positions, all these people appointed by me will directly report to me. And he says there that these are the key management persons. When he himself is writing that he is the key management person, then how come there should not be any accountability of Klaus? And also we have got to know that the BCAS today has pulled up seriously and stringently to all the airline CEO and particularly Air India. Also, BCAS have asked for a complete report from the Air India that why didn't they share the details of the bomb messages with the regulatory body on 15th and 16th. It is Republic Mega Impact Shravan. It is our scoop and our investigation where today CEO Campbell Wilson came here and without a report. He has only promised and only have stated to BCAS that yes, the report they will give soon regarding all the bomb threats which the airline has received till now. But it was a meeting which went for 1.5 hours, and it is Republic's impact because we are posing this question that they are playing with the safety and security of the passengers. Back to you.
Well, thank you very much, Harsha, for getting us the latest details. In fact, we'll shift focus now to the investigation that has been carried out by the Delhi police. In fact, it turns out that they are largely looking at whether at all there is an international conspiracy at play. We'll put out that breaking news in a short while from now as we prepare to take you through the details of the probe that has been carried out so far. Now, agencies basically suspect that this is what they call the grey zone warfare, which is largely something targeting to create some panic amongst the passengers. In fact, we're also being told that most of these bomb threats are using those social media accounts, which again have also been deleted, most of them that have been used so far. Let me also go across to my colleague Piyush Ori, who's joining us on this broadcast. Piyush, getting us the details. Why don't we just take our viewers through all the breaking news now coming in? We have just put out 2 breaking plates right now with regards to what we have, but it goes beyond that in terms of the countries that have been used to route those very threats that were received. Piyush, go ahead.
So very quickly, Shravan, mostly these kind of modus operandi are being used through the virtual private networks by which you do not understand that which exactly are the routers by which these hoax messages are being sent. And this is not for the first time when such kind of hoax messages are being sent. Earlier, it used to be sent to hospitals and schools, but this time the hoax messages have been sent through airlines and in a much larger number. Concerningly and unfortunately. Now, taking into consideration that most of these virtual private networks are being sourced from outside countries, in this case in particular, the VPN routers have been sourced through London in United Kingdom and Frankfurt in Germany. Worryingly, not only in outside countries, but these routers have also been sourced within the country, mostly tier 2 cities. However, now the main concern for the central agencies is that who actually are the real elements who are causing this panic. And we have been told by the people who are privy to this matter that there is definitely an international element that is involved in this. In fact, the term which they have used for mentioning this kind of causing panic is the grey zone warfare, in which there is unconventional means of causing uncomfort and a lot of panic to the citizens. And in this regard, before they were sending it to the schools and colleges and hospitals, but this time in much larger number they have been sending it to airlines. So now it's going to be interesting to see that with Ministry of Home Affairs stepping in and with several cyber experts stepping in. In fact, what we've also been told is that help from Israel is also being sought. Will they be able to get hold of these people who are causing panic? Will they be getting hold of the people who are causing this unconventional warfare on us? It's going to be interesting to see in the coming days. Back to the studio.
Well, let me also bring in my colleague Kruthat, just to put this into perspective. Kruthat, just for all our viewers who are tuning in right now, the big story that Republic TV has been tracking with regards to the role of top bosses in Air India. What is it that we know so far, and what are the questions that are emerging from the investigation that has been carried out so far?
Well, Shravan, the biggest question that emerges from the Republic Special Investigation into the entire top management of Air India's response to bomb threats is that who made the ignore it call. Republic brought this exclusive information out on Thursday first, when Republic said that top bosses inside the Air India had said ignore to a bomb threat that was received by the airlines. Now, Republic Newsbreak has today been confirmed by Air India's CEO Campbell Wilson, who himself has said that yes, such a message was sent. It was sent by CEO Klaus Goersch, who is also in the eye on the storm over his security clearance. Air India says that Klaus Goersch, who is the chief of operations, does not require a security clearance by the DGCA. Well, the rules are very clear about COOs requiring security clearance, but Air India has decided to hide behind nomenclature. They contend that Klaus is not the chief operating officer, but the chief operations officer. And you can see how much big of an impact just an alphabet in that designation can have on whether or not a foreigner who is one of the top bosses in Air India needs a foreign security clearance from the Ministry of Home Affairs. Now, why it is important for our viewers to know whether this person had security clearance or not is because that he was the person who is also the head of the Integrated Operations Command Center, or IOCC. Now, this command center is responsible to reacting to every threat received by Air India, be it of bomb or any other terrorism-related nature. Now, the IOCC in the WhatsApp threads that we have put out on here on Republic Special Investigation clearly show that once the IOCC flagged the bomb threat, Klaus, the Chief Operations Officer of Air India, said ignore it. Today, the CEO comes out and says that an internal investigation was launched on this quote-unquote ignore it message sent out by his Chief of Operations, and he then goes on to stay defiant and defend his COO, Klaus Goersch, and says, I am the accountable manager. Well, of course, Mr. CEO, you are accountable, and so would be the COO. Now, what is most important right now is for the DGCA to take cognizance in this entire matter and decide whether the foreign national, Klaus Goersch, who is the Chief of Operations at Air India, fits into the definition of a key managerial position person, which as per the Section 3 of the Civil Aviation Regulations requires a foreign clearance. Shravan.
Well, thank you very much, Kruthat, for putting this into perspective. The big story that we are still pursuing and hoping that Air India will basically respond and not indulge in the kind of whataboutery that they have in the last few days. In fact, a story that we are still tracking very closely, ladies and gentlemen, as we have much more up our sleeves, which we're going to release in the days to come. A story that we've put the entire focus on, the spotlight on the role of the airline itself.